You know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's the approach we see with car makers all over, and it's also the S-year strategy we saw from Apple in the past. Samsung has never been known for sticking to a flagship design for a second year, but it begs to really ask ourselves just how important is it? Fact is, it's pretty complicated to switch looks every year, and we've even seen how car makers use those iteration years to refine their product. So what if? What if Samsung decided for the first time ever that it was time to give you a better phone and not just better looks? On one corner, we have the Galaxy S23 Ultra, what Samsung calls as Ultra Evolved, and also the company's latest and greatest flagship. On the other, we have the Galaxy S22 Ultra, Samsung's first noteworthy upgrade to this lineup and also one of my favorite phones of last year. Whether you're upgrading or considering getting the old model with a discount, it always begs to wonder just how much better can a phone get from one year to the next. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and let's dive into our comparison. Listen, I get it. Personally, I debate upgrading a product each year if it's really hard to tell them apart. When it comes to MacBooks and iPads, for example, I'll even skip a year or two if their functionality differences aren't major. In this case, sure, they look nearly identical, but there are some subtle differences to tell them apart. The S23 Ultra is a hair taller, wider, and heavier than its predecessor, and you'd assume it's also thicker, but that's actually the same. The illusion happens because the borders are now flattened to make it easier to grip and also more S Pen friendly on the screen. Even the silo changed, so don't think one pen will fit snug on the other phone. And then another easy way to tell them apart is the more pronounced camera rings on the S23 Ultra and obviously the different color options. That said, same armor aluminum on both, though the newer model has the more advanced Gorilla Glass Victus 2 versus Victus Plus. Now, once you flip them around, their displays are almost identical stories, and I won't complain because this panel still leads the pack. Same 6.8-inch AMOLED 2X at Quad HD resolution, 120Hz refresh rate, and 1750 nits of peak brightness. Same gorgeous colors, viewing angles, contrast ratio, and ultrasonic fingerprint scanners. Same always-on capabilities as well. Its predecessor is still not enough to be conventional. And yeah, same powerful dual-firing speakers. Why I love small tablets. At 7. It's when you look into internals that you realize that you're getting more for your money with the newer phone. See, the S23 Ultra starts at double the storage at a faster UFS 4.0 for the same money as last year, even if RAM varies depending on your choices. Then there's the fact that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 has proven to be one of the best chips so far to balance power and efficiency, while last year's 8 Gen 1 wasn't as good at both. Everything else from the Wi-Fi to the IP rating and 5G is the same, though the new model has slight improvements in Bluetooth. So yeah, internals and materials alone already have the scale tilted towards the newer phone, but then there are a few gems on One UI 5.1 that have made me fall even more in love with this phone. This is the first Samsung Galaxy to only show me notifications on the lock screen when my face is detected, something I've complained about for years. And sure, the S22 Ultra will probably get that upgrade, but the older it is, the slower those changes will become. Now the rest of the UI, though, is not much different. Same visual appearance, same user interface approach, and I can't really tell that one performs better than the other. I know there are some of you that aren't fans of the look, but I've learned that to take the most advantage of this S Pen, One UI is the way to go. Its density on the grid of icons remains my favorite, and so do the perks with the Edge menus and its integration with other Samsung products in its ecosystem. Now, what did change is the overall experience. I mean, sure, both phones do the same fantastic job at handling phone calls on the AT&T network, and the same can be said about how they cling to data. The major difference, by like a mile, is endurance. Like sure, the S22 Ultra has the same power pack, but this is where you can tell that processors matter. This Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, custom tailored for Galaxy, has proven to make the new phone finally a 2-day beast, even while I'm taxing it hard all day. You'll end the day just fine with the S22 Ultra, but that's about it if you give it heavy use. What's left to compare is the cameras, and this is where things get tricky. On paper, the new phone touts 92 megapixels more than before, but what you don't hear is that these are smaller microns on almost the same sensor footprint. The telephotos don't seem to vary much even if the sensors are new, and neither does the ultra-wide, though the selfie shooter did get a boost if you consider those 40 megapixels were binning into 10 instead of the new 12. So yeah, nearly the same hardware, but new processing and ISP on the S23 Ultra. So it's in the results that things get tough. See, during the day, you're gonna struggle to tell them apart, and especially because they tend to be inconsistent. Sometimes the S23 Ultra is brighter and warmer, but the same goes for the S22 Ultra in other scenarios. If anything, I notice colors almost too bright on the new phone, while the older model seems to be more well-tuned. And listen, this is not to say both photos aren't great. Ultra phones are still kings at this, but whether you're using the ultra wide or the primary or both telephotos, during the day it's just tough to call out a winner. It's at night that things get weird. Those larger pixels on the primary on last year's phone are evident as you punch into certain scenarios where the new Ultra is slightly more grainy than the old one. You'll also see a bit more shutter lag from the S23, but then this is typical Samsung on every phone launch. It's common for the company to continue perfecting the software because I had those same exact problems on the S22 Ultra before, and now I don't. For social media, both phones are fine, and their night modes are still better than most on whichever focal length, though, yeah, right now, the old phone is sort of doing a better job. It's not the case in low light for selfies though, since those larger pixels on the new camera do a better job than last year with the binning, even if during the day you'll struggle to notice a difference. And I also love the results from these portraits on both phones just as much. Now, video then is a call that's an easy win for the S23 Ultra, but just because I'm comparing them. I notice far less grain off the new phone, better performance on all focal lengths, and slightly better detail, but then I do wish the colors from both didn't seem a bit washed out. There's also a slight oversharpening on each that I'm not a fan of. You'll actually notice it most when you switch to selfie video because color here is far more vibrant on both and better for whatever use case you'd like. That said, each phone handles stabilization just as well, though I could tell that on social media the new Galaxy seemed to do a better job slightly on the primaries, but then colors fell apart on the selfie camera. Again, weird. And also, yes, keep in mind there are new 8K capabilities and other features on the new Ultra that you don't get on the previous one, but it's hard to predict if they will come with a software update. To conclude, I think it's important for me to begin by saying that both are great phones. It's awesome to see how last year's phone got software updates almost on time and aged like fine wine, even when compared to the new kid in town. And obviously, sure, I have to pick a winner, and if it were my money, I would go for the Galaxy S23 Ultra. The differences in battery life are insane. You get double the storage at faster speeds, you'll get software updates quicker since this is the new flagship, and I have to say I actually like the subtle design changes in how this phone feels in the hand. Now, the upgrade question is tough because Samsung's trade-in deals weren't as good as they were with the foldables last year. Unless the things I just mentioned matter to you, I'd say you're perfectly fine for another year if you decide to keep the S22 Ultra. This phone is still a beast. And listen, if you're on the ropes between the old at a discount and the new, I'd pick the new, simply because the extra storage capacity pretty much pays for itself in my opinion, in addition to the fact that it'll be more future-proof. Obviously, I'm curious to know what you would pick in the comments down below, and while you're at it, follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow me on my personal handles to see me enjoy doing close comparisons. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.